My name is Camilo Guaman Gonzalez. I originally from Ecuador, South America. So I started as a graphic designer. I came from a small town, so there was not animation schools or anything like that. So I was just trying to escape from math and physics. So I say, okay, what should I do? Like a graphic designer was the simple choice. So I started as a graphic designer. I did create a company over there. We were doing super good, I guess, right? And I remember one day I decided to learn 3D. I say, okay, maybe I could incorporate a 3D logo of rotating or something fancy, for the website we were doing. So I look on the internet. So all the animation programs were outside the country. So there was no in the Ecuador. So the closest was Mexico, but a Mexican friend told me, no, don't come to Mexico. Just go to up north, like U.S. or Canada. So I ended up taking I got a scholarship because it was quite expensive. So to go to the Vancouver Film School in 2008, I got the scholarship just showing graphic design. I don't know how I got it, because usually you show some stuff already done in 3D or CG. So after that was my first experience with CG in general. So we had to do a short film. In 6 months, we had to do everything, like a short film, model the character, the story, do the animation, render, everything by ourselves. So now I'm thinking back, it's kind of difficult to do that in 6 months for somebody with a zero background in CG. So I ended up doing it, and something happened to me in that experience. I saw, before I was just going to the cinema and watching films, oh, that's nice, I love this movie, but I never thought I could actually be part of that. So when I went to the school, I saw what you can do, or with character animation in general. So I fell in love with the career. I was around 29 years old, so kind of old to change perspective of your life. I was about to get married, so it was kind of difficult to do that at the time, like changing completely, to start from the beginning to study something. So I after the 6 months, I tried to keep going with animation, because something you realize is something you have to keep moving forward. You cannot stay with what you got from the school. 6 months was not too much, right? So I decided to keep moving forward, and I study online, right? It was the cheapest choice for me, staying at my mom's place with my wife was a bit awkward, but it was the only way to make this happen, right? To study animation and changing career. So that's why after I finished my studies, I started to look for a job. Obviously, Ecuador was not a place to develop character animation, so that's why I started looking around. And I think somebody told me the other day, I'm the type of person that always say yes to everything. You have anything to happen, say, would you like to do it? And I'll say, okay, let's do it. So I don't hesitate too much, and especially when there is new opportunities and stuff like that. So I got an opportunity to move to Canada to working in character animation. So I took it, and that's why I met Carlitos. It was the first time I was working in a studio. So that was officially my first studio experience, right, as an animator. And we did a lot of, commercial films, everything. But I remember 2016 was the first time the studio decided to work in project outside, so which it was a Houdini entire project. But I also, at the time, I was working another Maya project, so I could not participate in that project. But I was beside the guys, and I remember at the end they need some help with the finished animation, but for the background characters from objects and stuff, simple stuff. So I ended up helping them. But so I don't consider that as a Houdini experience. I was 2016, I did it just a little bit. I remember I did some little tests, but nothing more than that. So I don't consider that as a Houdini experience. So today, thank you for Side Effects for giving me the opportunity to be part of this Houdini talk or the Houdini project. As I said before, they told me, hey, would you like to animate in Houdini? And I said yes, but I never I never did a research about what was actually animating Houdini now. Like 2016 to now, it's a lot of time that happened. So I said yes without even making a research. So I was not sure what to expect. So now from an animator point of view, you know, like you use the same software over and over, studio from studio with the same tools. So I didn't know what was stepping into it. So for me, I keep it like the basic, like try to keep it basic. So I'll say I was going to animating another software, but for me, animation is always the same, right? So what is animation? This is very definition, right? But it's a process of creating the illusion of movement or the illusion of life, right? Rapidly displaying a sequence of still images, drawings, or computer-generated models. So if I wanted to keep it this as a basic, simple as the roots, so I say, okay, if I am able to animate in Maya, I should be able to animate in any of the software because the process is still the same. So to answer that question, even people like already how do you say, with a lot of experience in Houdini, they were making faces like, I don't know if you're gonna like it. But for me, I try to keep it like positive, and I say, okay, I should be able to do it. So yeah, basically to illustrate that. So we got those two characters, right, from the Outback project. So when I saw the characters, I really like the appeal of the character. So I say, okay, the characters looks nice. There is a really cool design and all the choices they made. So I put it in my head, okay, this is going to be the same process. Like either I have an idea or I thumbnail something, I make a plan for something, then I shoot a video reference. Then after I start blocking the shot, then maybe another pass of blocking, and then spline and polish. So pretty much like all animation normal stuff. So that's why I decided to keep it like this, because also my knowledge in Houdini is almost zero. Like I had no idea what was going into it. So I didn't want to rely on any special tools or anything like, more fancy about the software. I know I have seen reels, like, the things you can achieve with the software. So I wanted to keep it simple. Like I consider myself like just a regular animator, not technical at all. So I didn't want to change that into a new software. So that's why I say, okay, I would like to keep it simple. Like because this is pretty much the process that I'm doing right now at the studio where I'm working now. So we do the same, like a video reference show to the client or the directors, and then start blocking, and from there you go and go. Of course, any animator here will know like you can also alter the process depending of the production. I also work for Fortnite, so for Epic Games, and for sure for them blocking was kind of, we need to see the movement, we need to see what is happening, the interaction with the character. And also I work at Framestore for Paddington 2 and Mowgli. So for them also there was not such a thing as blocking. It's just like you jump into the character moving. I mean, you animate almost by layers, right? But you needed to see actually what is happening. So yeah, but for this project I tried to keep it as simple as I could. So the title of the project specifically was it is La Rayuela, but as we saw with the rigging, the idea was the character to interact in an environment, but the environment was not ready at the moment I had to start animation. So also the plan was like interacting with all the things, like what was in the environment, but they were also not ready. So I say, okay, what should I do to start animating like in Houdini? So I decided to do a test, which we call it nose touch. Well, I didn't think about it, but I am including him the whole process, right? So video reference, all the stuff. And I know it's so weird watching yourself in the picture, it's small, but it's even more weird watching yourself doing funky stuff. So I remember before this, I'm saying this because just because my wife told me, she asked me the question, like, are you gonna show that? Like, but I didn't thought about it, so now I think she was right. So here we go. So this is the video reference, right? I did for the first test, right? So I wanted the character to interact, right? So I decided to do it in that way. And since we were 2 characters, right, I could duplicate it myself. I mean, doing another take and trying to make it that, like a compositing and stuff like that. So I decided, okay, but it's an interaction. So I, this one. Okay, so I asked my assistant at home, so if she could do a video reference for me. So yeah, I needed like a reaction, like if you're touching the nose of somebody, it would be a small reaction. So after I have the video reference, I say, okay, I have the reference, so I need to just jump into Houdini to put some keyframes. And then, of course, I realized like there was, I mean, it was not that simple. Like you have to. That's why exactly the moment where I started watching the tutorials, side effects, because they told me you have to watch the tutorials, you have to watch the tutorials. But I said yes without even watching those. So when I have my video reference, I have everything ready. I say, okay, now is the time. So I watched it, all of them, and I really recommend it. As some people mentioned it before here in the presentation, and it really helped me to build the basic structure of the scene. So this basically it's like the geometry node where it's going to be the animation, and then another geometry node for the grid, for the ground, and another geometry node for the camera. So so we double click in the geometry node, so we dive into the animation object, right? So we Carlitos created a custom nodes where you could load the character. The first one is HDA container, which to load the character, a Houdini digital asset. We have 2, one for Aiko, one for Joy. We have a HDA to add the character and the selection sets that comes with the character. And we have the scene animate is where actually the animation lives. It's like everything is going to happen inside that. And then we created a custom group of nodes to be able to publish the animation to the person that was going to do the render. So inside the publish node, we did a lot of stuff to make sure we can export the alembic. And we realized a bit after doing that, like it was a bit heavy when we have that connected. So in this case, I disconnected just to make sure like it was not calculating that export while we were still animating, right, on the software. And after this, like we have the scene created, we have everything ready. So I say, okay, it's time to put keyframes. So this is something like I really wanted to show, because when you have a video reference, right, normally in Maya, I consider it's kind of complicated sometimes because you have to have a specific file extension, naming convention. So sometimes it became really annoying, if you don't have exactly how the software wants the file be named, so it's complicated. You need to export the images in the correct order of naming. I know some studio has that tools, like just one click, but in this case, I was at home, just working myself with Houdini. So I just look at the internet, so how can I import the video reference in Houdini? So I press, I saw it on the internet, right? So I said, okay, press D. So I pressed D, and then there was like a background tab, and then from there, just load the video. And it upload the video very fast. And honestly, it was not lagging or not any slowdown on the process, so I was quite surprised, because I know in Maya videos sometimes are heavy, so you have to transform in sequences of images. So here it was pretty fast and simple, I have to say. And also there were some options, like you cannot see it now, but you can also speed the video, making it slower with keyframes. I know you can do that also with curves in other software, but it was so simple. Like you see in the right, like where is the video located, you can tell where you want to start or everything. Pretty, how do you say, interesting stuff right from the beginning. So, okay, after this. So once I have all my video reference in place, I did the first pass of blocking with the character. So obviously Joy was not finished, so I had to animate just her, and also you will see like the rig is not. It's the first one of the first iteration of the skinning, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. So you didn't have the latest deformation, everything, but it was good enough to just start with the process. So okay. Okay, so normally after the blocking, if you know what you're going to do, you should be able to just move to spline and keep going. But in this case, I was not sure what, because as I am mentioning, I was discovering the software as I was animating on it. So I didn't know what to expect with the graph editor in Houdini. I didn't know how the curves would work. Yeah, I have many stuff like I didn't know, so I decided to give it another round of pauses to making sure the character was doing what I wanted to do. Yeah, this time I have a Joy in the. Okay, and after doing this. Well, the concept that I have in my mind is like, okay, I will need to add more breakdowns just to make sure like I am telling the software what to do, like what part of the body will go first, who will lead, or who will be drag a bit. So that's the reason like I decided to give another round of blocking with the character. Okay, next one. Okay, so after I have all the blocking poses, I just hit the spline. So you will see here the first spline version, which I think it helped me a lot not to rely too much on the graph editor or the curves editor of the software. Sorry. So yeah. So you see, it's both of them, the interpolation is on one, so, okay. So that was working. And then, of course, I have to jump into the polish part where, you know, it's tricky because as an animator, I think we never consider something like already done or finished, so always go back and try to look at it again, but this time we have to wrap it up, and also I have to put the latest update of the rig, which was the eye blinks, was the last update, and also the ponytail and the deformations, like the latest deformation. So see now the ponytails with the ears and all the details. And I have to say, like at this point, like I was kind of like fast. I mean the process, like I didn't feel like Houdini was slowing me down or something like. like I could thought before. So yeah, I mean, as the project was mentioned at the beginning, the idea is to share this with the other animators so they can jump into and keep playing with the characters. So for the first test we did, it's like okay, like establish some relationship a bit with the characters, and we were happy with the result. So okay. So then it came. Next step was to animating La Rayuela, which is Rayuela. It's a Spanish name to call the game like usually play with by kids in the streets. So I don't know if you have seen it, but it's quite like well known around the world. Like the kids draw squares on the floor, and then you put numbers, and then you have to jump in and avoid it. So this picture, for example, was taken before I was taking the plane to come here. Like apparently some kids were playing outside my house. So it was quite, that's why I took it, and I think it's illustrative for what the game is about. And obviously the reason we did that test is because we needed to test both characters in environment, but the environment was not quite ready yet. So we decided, okay, let's play with something that is not interacting entirely with the environment. Like let's obviously use the ground, but yeah, that was the reason. And also, I think there is not much of animation tests being done with the Rayuela. I found one or two after actually, but not a lot. Like it's not like the type of animation test you will see all around on the internet. So okay, a bit of the process of doing this animation test. As I mentioned, we had a brainstorming session with the Outback team, and yeah, there were a lot of ideas were thrown in to do this. So we decided to go forward with the Rayuela. And well, here I'm saying like basically when you have two characters or you want to do something like where you pick that idea, no? So it could be brainstorming sessions or life experience, experimentation. So basically it's where you get why you decided to do something. So okay, so a little disclaimer here. So I'm gonna use again my assistant at home because I guess you have to use everything you can, right? So I ask so yeah, it's a little loop of the animation. You know, as an animator, you know, like sometimes for video reference, you need a specific person or character to do it. So in this case, I guess was more playful to ask my assistant to do the video reference. And we saw also Gaston. Gaston helped me in other projects before, like he helped me in Thelma the Unicorn. I was using him to jumping, falling, doing all crazy acrobatics and dangerous stuff at home, you know, for quads animation, so animators could relate to that. So yeah, so I kindly asked my daughter to help me to do it. So also, as you can see in the ground, originally was supposed to do it outside, but it was winter time, so it was cold, like a lot of snow, so there were not clean streets on the city. So I had to do it inside the house. So then I said, okay, should I draw on the floor? But then I was afraid to damage the floor and then get in trouble. So I say, okay, what should I do? And then I know it's not too ecologically friendly, but I decided to put duct tapes and a bit of a paper to show the squares, right? And this one, oh yeah, for the rock we use an old bread, like it was hard as a rock, because I didn't want to damage also the floor, right? You don't want to throw a rock in your house, and then yeah. So yeah, so basically this is the reference for Aiko. Then okay, so then I needed reference for Joy, which is a kangaroo. So I decided also to ask my assistants, and yeah, I play also with video reference because yeah, and animals, yeah, it's always good to watch them, the real ones, right? So you will see some captures and yeah. So it's I think it was fun filming that. So same, like I wanted to have I usually wanted to have the view reference clear as possible. So I wanted to have one character was doing, then the other character. I watched some reference, and I mean the Joy character is a bit more cartoony than a real kangaroo. So for sure there were some functionalities of the body that maybe we were not going to get at the moment, but I decided, okay, we can move forward with it. So just a second. Okay. And since I said, like, I wanted to keep it simple, I wanted to keep it like a regular workflow, right? I decided to include the video reference of the other character of the test, which is the rock. So I know you can achieve that pretty easily in Houdini with Houdini system, but as I said before, I try to keep it as simple as possible. So I decided to shoot reference of the rock too. So yeah, I don't know why at the moment, but when I was searching for rocks, there were not a lot of rocks in Montreal in the streets by that time. So we found that pretty dirty one that was maybe there in the dark water, but don't tell that to anybody. Like, yeah, it was pretty dirty, but it was the way to do it. So okay. So now that I have the video reference, I have all there for the characters. I started to animate. And okay, so here is the main, the first blocking pass I did for the test. Only one character at the time I did, and yeah, I tried to capture the basic poses, right? Yeah, it's not even finished the entire turn. But after start blocking, I mean, I realized like it was very complicated to make a character turn. Like you start dealing with a lot of stuff. So yeah, but it was too late. Like so yeah, so I started with the main poses. Also, the game. Here is a bit of a dilemma that I have. Like the game requires like you jump with 2 legs, then 1, 2, 1. So I know it creates a bit of a twinning in sometimes in the legs. So I wanted to stay true to the game because as an animator we can offset but yeah, that's just something that I have to disclaim. Like and okay, so as I said before, we try to keep going with the blocking, and in this case I include Joy too, also the rock. Yeah, so by this stage I actually didn't have a constraint on the hand. I just animate the rock separate because, as I said before, I didn't know how to do constraints in Houdini. So I was kind of like a learning by the moment that I had to do it. And yeah, so basically it was complete. And the idea is to have a loop for the characters. I guess after working in Fortnite for so long, I always try to, these days I want to make a loop so people could keep watching. The speed of the rig was super good, and yeah, so far everything was working as expected. So then we have the first spline pass. Yeah, so they're doing their run, and in this part I already use Houdini constraints, which I'm gonna elaborate more later on the presentation. But honestly, it was surprisingly working super nice because it was one object being controlled by two different characters. So I was kind of afraid at the beginning, but after watching the results, I say okay. It is simple, like actually. So after having the spline pass, I did a second spline pass. This time, like trying to give some bit of a polish here and there. I mean, trying to especially tweak some parts of the animation. Yeah, so this is the second spline, and as you can see, in this part I already include the ponytail, the ears, the rock also was doing his job, and pretty much I had all the elements. Okay. So something happened when we were show the progress to the client, right? Side effects, and at one point the render artist, he was using other cameras, other perspective of the animation, which as an animator sometimes I mean at some games and stuff you cannot forget that you have to animate for all the cameras. But sometimes at feature film or other projects, you want to lock to one camera and that's it. You don't want to bother to what is happening outside. But when I saw that, I said, oops, it's going to hold my animation from another angle. So I have to check, right? I start doing captures from the side view. Yep, as you can see, I had pretty much everything checked. Like at least was not doing something funky, or I know you can polish more and work on more areas, but was at least working good. So after that, we did, I did the polish pass of the animation, which, as I said before, I start to watch it also from other angles, side views, and especially making sure like there was not something funky happening. as you can see, I added a bit of a more personality to the rock, so it's rolling now. So a bit of the detail. Okay. I think I have also a capture from the side view, just to make sure everything was working good. And okay, so this is a render we got a little bit before to come here. So I think it's I'm not sure if it's the same render Carlitos showed it, but it was the render artist showing the environment, which I think was pretty important in this presentation. So you could see where they live. So the idea is like in the future, other animators could grab the characters and then start playing with them, like interacting with the environment, which for me I thought was super cool. So I don't know if you can see, but also another idea we had was making them training in the treadmill, so hanging out here in the wheel. So it was a little bit like Little Prince, but more cyberpunk. But it was super cool to see the final environment. So yeah, we load the animation there just to see sizes and everything was good. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting environment they live. So okay, so after animating like in those two animation tests, I have some thoughts. Like actually was a moment to start to ask myself like, okay, how was it to animating Houdini? What was the best thing? What was the worst thing? Especially because I have to say it, like every time I was at the studio, I was having dinner or lunch with my colleagues, and every time I was saying, oh, you know what, I am animating in Houdini. It was like something like I got the spot at the middle, like everybody was looking at me, what? Like, are you crazy? But honestly, it was a reaction like I don't know, like people told me, why Houdini? Like there is other softwares like Blender or Roomba in Montreal. Some studios were trying, and Unreal also. Epic Games use Unreal. In my project, I didn't have to because I was using Maya and then exported to Unreal. I mean, I could learn, but I decided just to keep it in Maya, my part. So I gather some thoughts and stuff like maybe could be interesting for other animators. Like actually, this part of the presentation, it was more thinking about like what to say to a friend or colleague. Like I want to ask me, hey, like how was animating Houdini? So one thing like I really enjoyed about the project was the rig speed. Because, I mean, I know in some productions you have a really heavy rigs, which is you can't do anything about it. So you found workarounds to work it faster. I remember the SCOOB film we did with real effects. I think the Scooby-Doo rig was 1 or 2 frames FPS. Like it was super heavy. So at the moment we have to animate object and then transfer that motion to the rig. So animating Houdini also, that was something like I was kind of scared, like what the speed rig is gonna be slow, fast. So my computer at home is not a supercomputer, so that was something like I appreciated. Like it was a very good speed, very fast. I know with the more features in the facial, maybe get a bit slower, but Also, I'm gonna show a little bit here, like the rig. We can change to rig another versions, right? Early version, so you can animate it with a version without the facial. It's gonna be super fast. So another interesting, important point was the appeal of the characters. When the project was mentioning to me, they sent me the image on the right, the two characters and the T-pose. When I saw the character, I said, okay, they look pretty fun. Like it's really nice. So I really like it, the design, and that was also a part like I really enjoyed, like I work with, like also the colors and everything. I don't know, makes like every time I was arriving home from work, I opened Houdini. It was kind of fun, like a interactive experience, really cool. Then another thing, like I think Carlitos mentioned it in more detail, but the space of the character. I know that for the ponytail, it was like, if I try to explain it, it's like it was in world space, but it was following on Y, only on Y rotation when the character was turning. So as I said before, making a character to turn, we prefer world spaces because it's not going to be affected by other part of the body as much as it would be in the local space, right, of the specific part of the body. So I like it to work in world space, but then making the character turn, sometimes you get some parts of the body interpenetrate on the character, or you have to counter animate. So having that, I think it was originally thinking for a tie, the tie rig, which also makes sense. Like you need to follow the body, but also be world space. And that, for example, space was really helpful to animate the ponytail. Honestly, it was like maybe 10 minutes to animate the ponytail. Because I already had a lot of what I needed, like the gravity for everything, the character. So I was animating just one control and then copy the animation to the next one and then shift it 1 or 2 frames. An old trick for animators. So it was pretty cool. Also, one thing like Animbot lovers will like, it's like Houdini has the animation toolbar integrated. Look, it's kind of an Animbot sliders. If I'm not mistaken, Animbot creator was involved a bit on this. So you don't have all of them, right? You have an Animbot, but you have some pretty cool ones, like a very, very useful for animating. And I'm gonna show you. So for example, this one, Blame to Neighbor, is the one that I was using the most. It's like kind of like a twin machine. So where you select the control and then you tell the decider if you want to blend more to one key or the other, right, or the neighbor. So it was pretty interesting. The other one was pretty cool. I think somebody asked about curves cleaning before, but that is a tool that I just discovered in Animbot in a project I was doing. I was animating whales, so obviously for a motion under the water you need a very fluid motion, right? So my supervisor told me, hey, but why have you cleaned up your curves? And I say, well, yeah, by hand. Say, no, there's an Animbot slider that could make it all smooth. So it helped me a lot. So in this project, I said, okay, where is it? So it's at the end. Unfortunately, you have to scroll at the end. But as you can see, and you can depend on how much you go right and left. But it could really, if you go too much, of course, it's going to smooth too much the curve. But for me, it was pretty cool. And also another feature that was already mentioned here was a global transform mode, where basically it's like you select a bunch of controls, and the last one you select is the one where it's going to pick the transform, the animation or the rotation that you need. So I was trying to illustrate an example, like as you see, I selected the hip and the head. The head was selected last, so it's where it pick up the rotation, which I think is very powerful because there is a lot of situation in production where you need the character or an object to rotate from another point, right? I know there is like tools for that. But sometimes those tools doesn't work. I remember Animating was not working well in Fortnite props. So it was kind of a problem. Like you have a complicated prop that you need to rotate from a specific point. So in this example, I think it's genius. Like it's very simple because it's integrated in the software. And if you watch the tutorials on the Houdini page, you could see that you can even create objects to be pivots, like be considered as a pivot, like it depends on the order, right? So, I mean, that's also super powerful. And one thing, like, I'm gonna be quick, but the transient constraints, for me, was something really, really cool. I know I said before, like, I didn't know how the constraint was working. It was gonna work in Houdini. So I tested in the shot, right? So the way it works is like basically selects in this case, well, the rock. You want it to be moving with the hand, and then you select the driver, that is going to be the hand. You have to specify also where you want that connection to happen in the specific timeline. So it was cool. And the moment when I realized like this tool was so cool, it's when I was in production last week. I guess I was animating a shot in Maya with a character sharing props, and there was 2 or 3 props, and honestly, was like hell because with changes, shifting in Maya scene. Then you have to keep track of where was the key. You wait one to follow one, then the other. It was super difficult because you move something and then it's going to affect something. So I was having nightmares. And when I was doing that, I was thinking, Houdini was simple. Like it's just a matter of telling where you wanted that to happen, and then you are not worried about what is going to happen after. I know if you dive into it, you have an auto follow, which is going to always, in that part where that was supposed to happen, you can update it. You can bake it also. As I said before, I was kind of scared of the anim layers because I never tried anim layers before in Houdini, so I didn't bake it. So I keep it at the end, all the connection, but not auto updating. So it was I was able to move the parts without affecting the object. So the selection sets also is something pretty cool. Coming from Maya, I have to be honest, I was really missing the picker. So the controls also were super easy to select, but with the selection sets, you can just click on that, and then you will get all selected what is under the group, and you can even custom your own selection sets. Like you decided which elements you want to throw in. So I also thought was super cool. And yeah, the rig update was super good, fast. I mean, it's just like select the node, load the new rig, and yeah. So some thoughts about what I missed, things that I wish I could have. I know this is my point of view. Like I know other people could have a different point of view or different ways to do it. But for me, I wanted just a motion trail, like a simple motion trail, something like just telling me the curve I was creating with my motion in the character. I know Houdini has a really nice one where you can update it or moving, but maybe it's there. But for me, it was like I couldn't find another way to tracking that in the regular motion trail. But I thought was more too complex. Like I wanted something simple, and also the changing space tool, because as I mentioned before, like while you are animating, sometimes you don't know, like you will end up in a weird situation. So in this project, we decided to keep it simple, like the legs in IK and the arms in FK, but I know being able to change a space is very powerful, especially in production, because you never know like what is going to happen, the changes what's going to happen, and I think that could be a nice add for the next versions. And I know like Houdini, the next version, Houdini has a really cool stuff coming. So what is next for me in Houdini? I would like to finish the test like you saw, doing the final tweaks. And I would like to try an acting test with Aiko and Joy. So doing a facial rig, right? Also, I would like to try more cartoony characters, like a more push design or things, right? Like a nice character designers, like a more cartoony, or I could say. And also, coming from Fortnite, I would like to combine like the power of keyframe animation with the Houdini, like a ragdoll or dynamic motion. Like I would like to be able to keyframe and then put on top some simulation and then be able to come back, like what it was mentioned in other expositors. But yeah, by the moment I didn't have the rig, I think if I understood, it has to be implemented in the rig. We can do it after, but I would like to do that, like really trying something like like a throwing character on the floor or doing something really more aggressive. So yeah, my conclusion is I wanted to. My objective of this of working with side effects was I just want to do a character animation test, right? All the school, like I want to be able to do the same like I'm doing at the studio. Like I just use video reference, put keyframes, and I have to say, like, I'm happy with the result. Like, after my experience, I know, like, there will be some tools or some stuff, like, maybe, like any studio, like, you need something, and then you can ask the TD to build for you. But for me, like, I'm pretty happy with the experience and the result. So obviously, yeah, if somebody could make tools for me or stuff like I miss, it would be just amazing. So, yeah. Thank you so much for having me here, this beautiful city.
All right, any questions? While you think about your questions, I just want to say, such a great presentation. One of the things I really liked was how you sort of broke down some of the things that you really enjoyed throughout the process, and how you really saw it as a process, to immerse yourself in and to sort of see how you felt about it, and how you sort of highlighted some of those things in the presentation was really nice. So, good job on that.
Thank you. Yeah, I have to tell the word.
Yeah.
The other animators, like.
That's cool. Any questions? Yeah. The other animator in the room.
Of course. So how long did it take for you to do this piece of animation? I understand that you were working after work, so on your spare time. How long for the whole process?
Yeah, was a very difficult question, I have to say, because I didn't track too much. But I would say roughly, we were like 3 weeks, something like that. But to achieve both, like a 3, maybe 3 weeks and a half. And but I was as I said, like I was working outside working hours, because as I said before, I have that problem. I say yes to everything. So when I say yes, I sometimes overlap stuff. So I said, okay, you have to finish stuff like that. But yeah, roughly I would say 3 or 4 weeks for 20 hours per week. Let's say I have to be really like no more than 20 hours per week for. Yeah, I am not good at math. That's why I'm not. It will be.
I've got another question. So, beyond the tools that were featured on just above the timeline, the kind of Animbot tools, did you have the chance to explore other tools from Houdini?
To be honest, not a lot. I tried the flipbook where you can create, like, actually see the blocking keys, and you can retime it on the flipbook. So which was nice feature to show a playblast, flipbook, and then retime it. But no, I haven't been able to explore all the stuff. Like, actually, for me, this presentation was really good because I could see, right, what other things like people are doing with Houdini. But unfortunately, I didn't have the time to, because I have a short time, and so I had to focus on what I was needed at the moment for the project. But yeah, if you have any cool tips or tools, let me know.
I've shared everything already. But yeah, I sympathize. Yeah, it's tricky when you don't have much time. You have to focus on your target. So I'm with you.
Thank you.
What's neat about this is that you're all pioneers in this area, right? So there's a few examples of tutorials and learning material and learning assets out there. Warren, you mentioned, and there's a few others. But generally speaking, you're forging into these areas without a lot of direction or hand-holding from the community. So A, that's why it's taking longer than it would if there were a million resources out there. And B, that's why it takes a special kind of person to sort of forge into these areas. So it's really neat to see it come to life. Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Well, awesome. Very good presentation. Thank you so much for taking us through that.
Thanks.